I've got loads more that I could do, but I talk very slowly, and I feel like I really took ages to get through like 4 rules there. So I'm going to do more of these and hopefully talk a little bit faster. Hello everyone, welcome to Glass Half Dead. Today I am going to go through several rules that I have found either in my own play or posted as rules questions that haven't been 100% clear and that I want to tell you my interpretation of, or just general hints and tips. By hints and tips I mean pistol rules and how, even though the wording is exceptionally clear and there's no way to misread it, maybe it's different from how 40k plays it, or it's not immediately obvious. Consider this a bit of a beginner's guide on how to play complex rules. I'm not going to teach you how the game is played. You don't need to know about the movement phase, the psychic phase, etc. However, we are going to also say some pretty basic things that should be obvious. But let us start with a tactical reroll. Let's read it, shall we, guys? So, the tactical reroll, one command point. It's a tactic. Reroll a single advance roll, charge roll, psychic test, deny the witch test, hit roll, wound roll, saving throw, injury roll, or nerve test. And keep in mind that a tactic can only be played once per phase. Now, if anybody out there has watched other people's battle reports, you may have noticed that in the comments section, people will be saying things like, you got the roll wrong you got the wound roll wrong. The opponent is supposed to roll the saving throw, and then the attacker is supposed to roll the wound roll. And you may think, why does that matter? Who cares who rolls the dice? And the reason for that is because of tactical reroll. For example, if I were to shoot an enemy, and I then let the opponent roll for the injury roll, I would not be able to re-roll it. They shouldn't be able to re-roll it. So, whenever we come to the injury roll, me as the attacker, I get to choose whether I settle for the flesh wound, or if I re-roll and go for the takeout. That's my command point to waste, or use, if you will, on that roll. Equally, it should be noticed that it says this can be used on any saving throw, not just an armor throw. It could be used for Feel No Pains or Power from Pain for Dark Eldar. I assume all is dust. Any saving throw. Unlike the Warhammer 40k tactical reroll, which you can reroll any single dice at any point, this is rather specific. You can only reroll these very specific. Let's hold it up to the camera so you can read it. I'm sure you know it already. You can only reroll those specific rolls. For example, on this, it quite clearly says that you cannot reroll a leadership test. If you're taking that break test, the end of the match, you can reroll individual nerve tests, but not a break test. While we're talking about rerolls, let's have a look at the reroll rule here. Firstly, you can never reroll a dice more than once. That's important to note. Also, if that reroll involves 2d6 or 3d6, you have to reroll all of those dice. However, a thing to note here is that let's say you are firing a rapid fire weapon and you roll both dice at the same time. Let's do it. A 5 and a 3. I hit with one and I fail to hit with the other. Now a reroll, the tactical reroll, in this instance, will only let you reroll one of the 2 dice. Because actually they are 2 single dice rolls. We are just rolling them together for ease of use. So the takeaways there are, you have to reroll all dice in the roll, if it is a single roll. The correct person has to roll the correct dice. And you can never reroll a dice more than once. Awesome. A quick note on grenades. Don't forget that a grenade can be fired for Overwatch. So there may come a situation where your particular model does not have a weapon to fire Overwatch. However, don't forget about your grenades. Second, pistols. So if you fire a pistol, you cannot fire any other type of weapon in that phase or in that turn. Equally, if you were charged in that battle round, you cannot fire a pistol. Equally, if you charge or get charged, you cannot fire your pistol. On the next turn, you will be able to fire your pistol in the shooting phase. And that's one thing to remember. A lot of people want to think of the pistol as a close combat weapon. However, it's still a shooting gun, and you are still firing it in the shooting phase, not in place of a close combat weapon. This is only a small one, but it's something people seem to often forget in the heat of the battle. Your model may move up to 3 inches. There are some abilities that allow this to become 6 inches, which is then a pretty big move. Don't forget though, guys, the model must end the move closer to the nearest enemy model. You cannot use your consolidate move to hide behind cover ready for the next round. A quick note on hit allocation. If you have multiple units, here we go, these 3 all in a row, this guy with his splinter cannon, he gets 6 shots because he's within 12 inches of his enemy targets. Firstly, you have to select one of the 3 units to shoot. In this instance, we will pick the middle. Because of hit allocation, you are allowed to pick those 6 shots that this guy will shoot and spread them out to any model within 2 inches of your primary target. This is not affected by line of sight. If there was a wall here, so this guy clearly cannot see that, you can shoot them and hit them. That's super cheesy, but it's possible. So with 6 shots, I may choose to go 2 shots on all 3 of them, or 4 shots on here and 1 on these 2. It's entirely up to you. However, you do have to decide to allocate your shots before you roll to hit. If this had a random hit statistic, then you would first roll the number of hits. Let's say it was a d6. I would declare that he is going to shoot this turn. I would then roll my number of attacks. 2. Then I would declare my target and who else I want to shoot at. In this case, 1 there, 1 there. And that is hit allocation. However, that is for shooting. The same can also be said for melee. Now we have our 3 yellow guys against the person I've actually put paint on. My Hecatrix here has 3 attacks. The first thing I would do is declare that I am going to fight. Then I can decide to allocate my attacks, and you have to allocate your attacks before you roll to hit. With her 3 attacks, she can choose to get 1 hit on each and hope to kill all of them, or do all 3 on one, or 2 on one, 1 on another. You declare who you are going to attack and the number of attacks, then you complete your attack rolls for 1 unit, the hits, the armor saves, the wounds, the injury roll, and then you move on to the next. And that's how hit allocation works. If you have multiple weapons, you can also decide to make some of your attacks with 1 weapon and some of your attacks with another weapon. But again, you have to decide to do that before you roll to hit. A quick chat about the difference between a leader model and a leader specialist. As I happen to have some Drukhari models out, let's take a look at how they play, shall we? Every single kill team has to have a leader specialist. Okay? However, there are also leader models. So, for the Drukhari here, we see a Sybarite only. So this will count as your leader model. For Adeptus Astartes, that may be a sergeant or whatever. Down here, again, leader, Hecatrix only. Hecatrix. Those are your leader models. They are very different from a leader specialist. They may be the only ones that can be a leader, but it does not make them a leader. So you are more than welcome to take as many of your Sybarites and Hecatrixes here as you want, although there is a maximum of 1 each. One of them will have to be your leader. But for example, with a witch cult here, a Hecatrix, maybe I want to dump a lot of points into one of them. Really kit her out to be the best. Like here with a blaster pistol and an agonizer. So they're ready to charge in. Get work done. Now they could be my leader. But then you have to ask, why would I want a model that is going to charge in and be in direct combat for the entire game my leader? They'll probably die quite quickly. So maybe I want to take a Sybarite as well. They are both leader models, but I am only going to choose the Sybarite to be my leader specialist. Very different things. And the final rule for today, guys, is pivoting. There is a line in the rulebook that says, during your movement phase, even a pivot counts as a move. So if you are to pivot the model, which means to turn it, even though your base isn't moving, you are turning the model, that still counts as a move, as a full move. So you are not allowed to ready or anything else. There is some speculation that at one point during the rule set, Kill Team was built with firing arcs built into the game. There's none of that left, and there was an argument that perhaps the pivot rule was left only because they forgot to take it out. Whether that's true or not, it doesn't really matter. And the only use that pivot has right now is if your model is in an ungainly position, like here. My Hecatrix, with her blaster pistol, can clearly see the arm of this model. However, the rest of the body is hidden behind this beautifully painted terrain of a paint pot. I could pivot like so. The model hasn't moved position, despite the fact that I did. Let's pretend. But they are now 100% out of sight. No arguments involved. This cannot see this. Although, it probably can. Let's not talk about the bases. You get the idea. Okay, everybody. Just a few quick rules for you there. I hope something in there was helpful for you. And I've got loads more that I could do, but I talk very slowly. And I feel like I really took ages to get through like 4 rules there. So I'm going to do more of these and hopefully talk a little bit faster. Okay, thanks very much, guys. Hope you've enjoyed Glass Half Dead. I will see you all another day.